Support for WUWM podcast comes from Hop Harvest and Vine and Good Harvest Market in Pewaukee, part of One Destination, combining farm-to-table dining, local craft beers, and organic groceries under one roof. More at goodharvestmarket.com.
You're listening to Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR station. Here's one of our favorite conversations about what's happening in the city.
American Science and Surplus is a Milwaukee staple for many science enthusiasts and DIYers. While its online store has closed, its brick-and-mortar locations in Milwaukee and Illinois remain open under new employee ownership. The previous owner, Pat Meyer, started a GoFundMe last year to try and keep the stores open. But when efforts failed to reduce inventory and relocate its warehouse, Meyer stepped down as owner. Now, former store manager Kim Stenglein owns the Milwaukee location. Stenglein spoke with WUWM's Eddie Morales last December about how a challenging economy is shaping the store's inventory and future. As a part of WUWM's Economic Check-In series, Stenglein shares some of the ongoing and new economic challenges the store is facing.
I'm still working on reordering some of the merchandise that we had been carrying prior to the sale of the store. And each one of those orders, I'm finding significant cost increases to myself that are having to get pushed out onto the customer pricing as well. Tariffs, yep, there's been some companies that I've ordered from that we were previously ordering from outside of the United States. One of the biggest companies that sells electronic soldering kits, which I really wanted to bring in, comes from Belgium, even though they kind of represent themselves as being a company based in the United States. All their shipping is done from Belgium. So I ordered these kits having no idea that by the time I paid to get them here, I paid as much to get them here as I did for the kits. So I can't order from them again because those tariffs they're not affordable kits anymore to the customers. So in order to sell them, I did kind of eat a little bit of those tariffs, and I'd love to be able to buy them again. We can't absorb those tariffs anymore, though. New concerns that you asked about, too, gas prices. I just paid for a pallet to come from California, $459 just to get one pallet of merchandise. All that had to get absorbed into the costs, which I wish I didn't have to do that, but that's just how you have to operate. I think that same pallet I ordered 5-6 months ago, and I want to say my cost was about $200 less. So it's hard because you want to be nice. You want to have good pricing for your customers, but it's that $459. I just can't eat that. It has to go into the pricing. So I was, right before you walked in, working out all that new pricing for this one vendor.
Do you have any examples, too, of how that affects daily interactions with customers or customers themselves dealing with price increases, in their daily lives, groceries, gas, and things like that? Has that changed that interaction with customers?
Sure, of course it has. We have a lot of regulars. So regulars who have been buying the same item for years at the same price. And now they're like, oh, this has gone up a lot. And it seems very obvious to us, but to the consumer, all they see is, wow, that price went up $2 since the last time I bought these a month ago. Finding that polite way of saying, yep, our price went up too, so I can't just keep charging the same as we did before. We hear that often. It's disheartening to hear, but we understand it, trying to explain it to the customers in a way that they understand that we're not just lining our pockets with this extra money we're charging them. We're getting charged extra.
In our last chat, you talked about stepping up and becoming the store's new owner, and how that wasn't initially, how that wasn't something that was on your radar. So how do you feel about the decision now, and what's been challenging, but also what has been rewarding about stepping up and taking this role?
I don't regret it at all. It's been a lot. It's been a lot more than I was anticipating, but I don't regret it. And challenging still is establishing with vendors and possibly finding new sources for merchandise. In all honesty, and this is not to say anything negative about the previous owner, there was a little bit of a wake left out there with some vendors who, when I contact them as far as trying to establish myself and starting to be able to make purchases with them, there's just some vendors that hear the name American Science and Surplus and they're like, no, we're sorry, we can't do business with you. And learning about things like payroll and where can we try to keep our costs down to keep the store profitable and sustainable. And while right now our customer count is a little lower, it's summertime, well, we're lowering our payroll a little bit. That's just one way that we can try to keep my overhead down and still keep the store profitable. Right now I am slowing down on my ordering process a little bit. I've been ordering a lot of merchandise for the last 8 months, and we have a lot of merchandise. So while we're in the slow periods of summer, we're also slowing down on ordering because we don't need as much right now. Even though it's the fun part of my job, sometimes I got to focus on the not so fun things.
Yeah, and then if you could just talk about what's been rewarding or fulfilling since you've taken over this role.
The customer feedback. So being the person now who is making most of the decisions about what merchandise we're bringing in, the customer feedback has been really rewarding. We get a lot of positive comments about the new merchandise that's coming in. Not a personal thing. I don't do most of the merchandising here myself, but hearing the compliments on how well organized the store has gotten. We always tried to be as organized as we could for the type of diverse product selection that we have, but Lily, the store manager, has been really focusing on trying to get the store looking better, the merchandising better, things making more sense where they belong in the store. So we get a lot of positive compliments on that, and they were always nice to hear, but it's a proud moment for me where I'm like, look at how great she's doing. So it's rewarding in hearing how good my staff is doing with all the changes that have happened over the last 8 months. It's been a lot for them.
What are some of the things that, not only that you've offered at the store throughout its history, but some of the newer offerings since you've been in this position, and also some of the, I think you mentioned before, like different programs or activities that you offer in the space. Can you speak to some of that?
Yeah, so prior to this time last year, we were running weekly events they were mostly geared towards kids. Anybody could come participate, and they were always on Sundays. And when things got rough towards the end of the American Science and Surplus Inc. era, we were told to stop running those events because they cost money that we didn't really have. So we're bringing our weekly events back. We are doing them a little bit differently. So a lot of the feedback we had been getting was, hey, this is fun, but I don't always want to make things with kids. So we're starting out doing one every week. On Thursday nights, there'll be after hours for adults, and then every other Sunday, they'll be during the afternoons, more geared towards kids. The first one that we're doing with the adults are wind chimes, make your own wind chime, and then we'll be doing, it's kind of like an intro to soldering where they can come in, learn how to solder. When they're done, they have a little blinking robot that they put together. Yeah, so those are starting up again. We did have our first science night last month of the year. We'll be having 2 more of those coming up this year, and then we're also planning a swap meet in August that will be outside, where we'll be putting out an invitation on Facebook in the next couple weeks for people who want to have tables there. The hope is that we'll have a little science demo going on out there as well, and some food trucks. But those weekly events will be happening every week. They'll all be posted on Facebook at the beginning of the month as to what the schedule is, and then reminders each week as to what they are.
Yeah, so I guess just the last thing is anything else you'd like to add, but also just how do you feel about sustainability for the store and the way that the economy has affected the store?
Yeah, people are struggling right now to put food on the table and fill their gas tanks. So I know that our store is one more of, I don't want to say luxury, but in general, most people come here for fun, not out of necessity. So, sorry.
No problem.
I think maybe that hit me a little bit just because it is scary knowing that people don't need to come here. People want to come here, and needing to make sure that I have the products that they want to get it feels a little heavy, but making sure that we have the items in stock that people do need. People do need their switches, and they do need things to make their kids' science projects.
That was American Science and Surplus owner Kim Stenglein speaking with WUWM's Eddie Morales for our Economic Check-In series. You can find more conversations about how the changing economic landscape is impacting Wisconsinites with different economic needs at WUWM.com.
That was the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast. It comes from your local NPR station, WUWM. Subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast to hear more great stories about Milwaukee.